The Nintendo Switch 2 is 23 days away from launching, and whether you like the price of the console or the games or not, it is expensive. $450 is expensive. $500 for the Mario Kart bundle is expensive. So today I want to sit down and break down some ways that you can save money on the Nintendo Switch 2 on games and accessories for the system and not stretch your wallet quite so far. Now let's start with the Nintendo Switch 2, the console itself. Like I said, $450 for the base console, $500 for the Mario Kart bundle. That's a decent chunk of change. So saving money on that could go a long way. Now, it is a bit trickier, I will argue, to save money on the console. There's less deals and things happening with the console in order to save money in that regard. But I will say there are a couple options. Both come in the form of trading in your current Nintendo Switch. Getting rid of the Switch that you already have your hands on is the easiest way to save money on your Nintendo Switch 2. And the nice thing is, if you only have one Nintendo Switch, you are able to go ahead and transfer your stuff online, so that way all of your saved data is backed up and ready to go for whenever you do get your hands on the Nintendo Switch 2. And this came with the Switch 20.0.0 update, the system transfer for users that will lose access to their Nintendo Switch before receiving their Nintendo Switch 2. There is an option to upload the system transfer data to a dedicated server, which can then be retrieved on their Nintendo Switch 2. After you upload your system transfer data to the dedicated server, the Nintendo Switch 2 systems will be initialized to factory settings, so only perform this transfer after you are able to complete the transfer to a Nintendo Switch. So essentially what this is saying is, after you transfer your data to the cloud from your current Switch and trade that bad boy in or sell it on Facebook Marketplace, whatever you do with it, that data is now off the old Switch system. You won't be able to continue using it on the current Switch system. So you can send it to the cloud, you can sell it wherever you're planning on selling it, and you're able to then go ahead and wait for your Switch 2 and use that money towards your Switch 2. Put it in a piggy bank, put it on store credit, whatever you're going to do, you are able to have that data ready to roll for whenever you get your Switch 2. And like I said, there's a couple different ways you could go about doing this. First and foremost, you can take this and you could sell it on any sort of local store like Facebook Marketplace, whatever the case may be. And arguably, you're probably going to get more money than you would if you traded this into like GameStop or something to that effect. You're likely going to get a little bit more. Like my OLED, I could probably get 200 to 250 bucks for on Facebook Marketplace. I have no intention of selling my OLED, but the option is there. But if you're someone who doesn't want to deal with the hassle of getting on Facebook Marketplace or tracking down the person that's trying to buy your console and having a safe meetup, because they can get sketchy, having a safe meetup where you can then sell the Switch, the other alternative is selling to GameStop. And I think personally, there's nothing wrong with selling to GameStop. I like GameStop. I go there frequently. I traded in my base model Switch version 2 to GameStop toward my Switch 2. So I had two Switches, took my base model over, keeping my OLED, and I got money for it. Now, let's talk about GameStop a little bit. Now, let me preface this, that this particular deal that GameStop was holding is now over. This ended at the end of April. You are no longer allowed to use this particular one. But GameStop is notorious for having trade-in deals like this, where you can get additional money towards your trade-in if you're trading toward a certain product. Like this one specifically, if you were trading towards your Nintendo Switch 2 reservation, you got additional money toward that. So the Switch OLED was $175, the Switch version 1 or 2 was $125, and the Switch Lite was $100. You got additional currency. Now, when I pre-ordered my Switch 2 at GameStop, I talked to the manager of my GameStop, and she stated that there was likely going to be another type of trade-in deal like this. They were already in talks at GameStop of getting another trade-in deal like this set up, so that way after launch there would be a way for people to save money on the Switch 2. This means that later down the line, while this one is over, something very similar, if not the exact same thing, could pop back up once stock is available again at GameStop. So definitely keep your eyes out for trade-in deals like this. If you didn't already secure your pre-order and you're looking to pick it up after launch, make sure you're keeping your eye out for things like this at GameStop. Now, like I said earlier, GameStop may not give you as much as you could get on another platform, but saving any money is better than saving no money in regards to it. But that pretty much covers how you can save money on the console itself. Like I said, there's not a lot of deals going on specifically for the console, but let's talk about games and accessories and how you can save money on those. Let's start with the games. Now, you're probably aware, if you're following the Nintendo Switch 2, that there are special edition upgrades for the Switch 2 that will give you better graphics, maybe additional content depending on the game, that is available for the Switch 2 version of those particular games. And typically these are going to cost anywhere from $10 to $20 for the upgrade. Looking at things like the Zelda games, those are going to be $10 upgrades. Looking at things like Kirby, that adds additional DLC, or Mario Party Jamboree, those are going to be $20 upgrades. But you can save money on those upgrades, and I'm going to tell you how. Something you may not have already thought about. All those games mentioned already have Switch 1 versions. They've been on the market for a while, right? They have upgrades because they already exist, which means there is an aftermarket for those games. There are pre-owned copies of those games or sales for those games that are happening because those games have been out for years. So that means you could go and pick up a Switch 1 version of said game and then simply pay the $10 upgrade fee rather than paying the $70 or $80 for the Switch 2 version, which can save you a little bit of change in the long run. The first example I have of this is Hogwarts Legacy. Now, WB just announced that this game is getting a Switch 2 upgrade for $10, which is fantastic because originally we thought we were going to have to pay full price for this game again on the Switch 2. However, this is no longer the case. There is an upgrade path. You need to have the game, whether it be physical or digital, and currently there is a sale happening for Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch. So you could pick up Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch for $18 right now on the eShop and then upgrade for $10. So rather than paying $70 for the Switch 2 version, you are going to be paying roughly $30 after tax for the Switch 2 version of the game. You're saving a huge amount of money on that game. That is a perfect example of what I'm talking about here, that these games have been out, you can catch them on sale, you can get them pre-owned, and that is going to save you money. Looking at Breath of the Wild, this is at GameStop. Breath of the Wild is available right now for $45 or $42.74 if you are a Pro member. This is about $15 cheaper than what you could get a normal new copy of Breath of the Wild for the Nintendo Switch. So you're saving $15, then you're going to take the $10 upgrade, and now you're spending $55 rather than $70 for the Breath of the Wild Switch 2 version. So there are ways that you can minimize the money. Another example, Civilization is coming to the Switch 2. They've confirmed they are doing a $10 upgrade as well. This game just came out, so the savings are a little bit less. About $5 is what you can save, and then you do the $10 upgrade. That's going to give you $5 off of the Switch 2 version of this game. Looking at Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, this game also about $5 in savings for that. So you can find these games pre-owned, and even if you save only $5, that's $5 you can put towards something else for your Nintendo Switch 2, which is really, really good. Honestly, I am planning on picking up a bunch of these games for my Switch 1 and upgrading them this way because this is going to save me money in the long run. It's also worth mentioning that certain games like Civilization may not have a physical version for the Switch 2. So if you want a physical version, buying the Switch 1 version, which does have a physical version, will allow you to then have a physical copy of your Nintendo Switch 2 version of this game. So definitely something to keep your eye on if you're a physical collector like myself. Now moving on to talking about not only games, but accessories, we're going to talk about the ways you can save money on the Pro Controller, on the camera, maybe a carrying case, things of that nature you can save money on. And we're going to talk about exactly how you could go about doing that. Going back to GameStop, like I said, always has these trade deals happening. You can always find trade deals going on at GameStop. If you go to their website and click this little trade-in tab up at the top, you will be able to see all of the trade deals that are currently available at GameStop. And scrolling down right now, what is currently happening is you can get 40% extra trade credit on any video games traded toward new Nintendo Switch 2 games or accessories. This does not go toward the console. This goes specifically toward games or accessories for the Nintendo Switch 2 if you trade in any games. So if you have a backlog of games that you are done with and you have no intention of playing anymore and you're looking to offload and save a little bit of money, you can get 40% extra trade-in credit. And yes, I know people are going to comment that GameStop shorts you on the trade-ins and blah, blah, blah. But having any additional money toward the Switch 2 is better than having no money toward the Switch 2 stuff that you're planning to pick up. So this is something you need to keep your eye on as well. If you're a Pro member, you do also get an additional 10% credit, so you're up to 50% rather than 40%. So easy way to save a little bit of money there, especially if you're someone like myself who has maybe physical Xbox games that were added to Game Pass. I could trade those bad boys in and get additional money toward my pre-orders like Donkey Kong Bonanza, toward Cyberpunk, things of that nature. So definitely some ways to save money there. I could put it toward my Switch 2 camera. I could put it toward my Pro Controller for the Switch 2. Save money on your accessories by trading in old games at GameStop. This is definitely a solid way to go about doing that. Another way to go about saving money is over at Best Buy. There is the Best Buy Plus and the Best Buy Total member subscription that you can get at Best Buy, and you're able to get $20 bonus reward with every $150 spent on select Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch games and gear. This is really nice for those that are looking to get a handful of things on day one for their Nintendo Switch. Now, this does not include the Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch hardware for purchases. So you can't buy your console and expect to get the money back for the Nintendo Switch console. This only works for games and accessories, but adding a couple games to your order and maybe a Pro Controller will get you to that 150 very, very quickly. So if you're a Best Buy Plus member, or you're looking to become a Best Buy Plus member, this is a good way to get a little bit of money back. And I believe Best Buy is also offering this toward digital games. You can pre-order digital games if you're a digital game player for the Nintendo Switch. You can pre-order the digital games at Best Buy as well and be able to get those games with the money back for this subscription, which is really nice. You can get it for the cameras, you can get it for the controllers, you can get it for the games. You can save money at Best Buy by bundling them all together and getting a little bit of cash back, which is fantastic. So there are a handful of ways that you could go about saving money on your Nintendo Switch 2 games and accessories, as well as the console, depending on the situation that you're in. So take all of this information that I shared here in this video and apply it to your particular situation. What works best for you? Go ahead and do that and save some money on the Nintendo Switch 2, because like I said, it's a decent chunk of change, but if you want the system and you want to enjoy the games, saving some money always helps. But one thing I want to mention before we get out of here is do not buy from scalpers. If there is anybody that is selling a Nintendo Switch 2 or the Mario Kart bundle for more than retail price, do not buy those consoles. First off, you don't know if they're legit. You don't know if you're actually going to get the system if you buy from those. But on top of that, you are spending so much extra money for something that ideally is going to come back in stock in a month or two. So definitely stay away from all those scalpers that are selling this for ridiculous prices. Again, the base Switch console is $450 in the States and $500 for the Mario Kart bundle. So stay away from those scalpers that are selling these for ridiculous prices on eBay and places like that. Pick these up at a retailer or from Nintendo themselves and save some money. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below if you have another tip for saving money on the Nintendo Switch 2, the games, or the accessories that I missed here in this video. I hope this was helpful to some out there. And be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, because it helps me out, helps the channel out, and helps the video out immensely. And I've got a bunch more Switch 2 stuff coming in the future, so you definitely want to be around for that. But like I said, that is it, and until next time, peace.